Good morning, everyone. It's Clint Adams here at the WaterPro Studios. I'm here with Chris Jordan from Lux Landscape Construction and Envision Personal Development, which we'll talk about a bit in the podcast. Recording episode 24 of the full landscape. This is one that I've been looking forward to for a couple of weeks. We had to move it last week, so you'll have two podcasts this week. Chris is a landscaper, but also a father and a husband. Partner, nearly a husband.
Fact, as good as.
And he's one of the guys, I guess, in our market that seems to have some of the best balance between work life, I guess, with home life and his work life. So in this podcast, I wanted to dive into that a bit more and talk about the things that he's been doing recently, as well as talk a little bit about the way he runs his landscape business, so that we can draw some parallels to what a lot of you guys are doing. I really hope you enjoy this one, and as with all the podcasts, if you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to chuck them underneath the in the comments section, and Chris and I will keep our eye on them and respond if we need to. Thank you.
Y'all ready to turn it up tonight? If you really want to fly, your hands in the air, let the music get you high.
So, if I guess to get started, I'm keen to get a bit of an origin story from you, as to how you got to the point in your career that you I guess own a landscape business, and I guess were there any pivotal things that happened along the way? I guess that kind of 3-minute introduction.
Okay. So first up, I just started off doing labouring. So, sorry, is that right?
That's right. Yeah, that's not, I get distracted. People walk past. Yep. So. As in labouring for another landscape company?
I just started doing labouring with a mate who was working for a landscaping company, because I was doing roof restoration, and that kind of fell through. My mate's company didn't really have a job for me anymore. He was doing it with his old man.
How old were you then?
So I was, would have been 20.
Okay.
So yeah, basically I started off as a labourer, pushing barrows up hills.
And so with no
on the
formal
first job,
qualifications?
obviously they went, we don't want to be pushing these barrows up the hills, let's get someone in.
Oh, okay.
And so I did that until the point where, my forearms weren't working.
Yep.
Obviously, yeah, did the right thing, and then they wanted to keep me on. So
you became an employee, trainee, apprentice?
yeah, basically just a labourer, I guess. It's pretty loose. The operation
How long ago
was
is
pretty
this?
loose.
How old are you now?
So I'm 30.
Yep, so 10
So
years.
it was, 10 years ago.
Okay. So that was in a point where I guess there was labouring, but there was also apprenticeships and traineeships and that kind of thing. That was never on the cards. It was more than just...
Nah. Looking back now, it wasn't like an extremely structured company.
Yep.
They did really good work, but they were sort of more... I don't know how to explain it.
It's not uncommon for a good artist to be a bad business person.
Yeah.
And I think that there's obviously a lot of landscape pers out there that want to start their own company because it gives that independence and freedom, but no one's taught them about admin and emails and getting back to clients on time. So,
and the person who was running it, he'd been doing it for 30 years. So he'd been doing it for 30 years.
So I think his skills were insane.
Yeah, so he knew exactly what he was doing. I think by that point he just I don't know if over it is the right word, but he knew the path of least resistance to get through and get jobs done and get paid.
So if he had kind of reverse engineered that he needed $1,200 a week to live, he just knew that all I had to do was this and this and this, and do the minimum. So he wasn't so much passionate about growing the landscape business or whatever. It was just...
No, so he'd been through that.
Yep.
He'd grown it pretty big, up to about 30 odd people.
Wow.
Had a couple of trucks, crane truck, moss rock business, stuff like that. So he had gone through that, gone through some personal stuff, and then basically he scaled it back to something that was more easily manageable.
So does he still trade now?
I think he might, not really that I know of.
Yep.
But with my old boss, he probably gives him a couple of jobs here and there.
Yep.
But I don't think it's a lot going on. But
And did you leave that role and start your company, or did you go do something else between the two?
no, so what I did was start off as a labourer. They offered me a job, so I stayed on. I guess just as more of like a trial situation at the start.
Because there was reduced risk for them, it's easy for you just to go.
Yeah, exactly. And then so kept learning. I'm a fast learner usually. With most things, I learnt quickly. Within a couple of years, I'd like to say I knew most of what we were doing.
Yep.
How to start and right through to finish.
Yep.
All the tasks and that sort of thing. And then probably by about the third year, I started running sites.
Was there a big crew then, or was it kind of you and the owner? Or?
There was started off as just 3 of us, and then we'd get a labourer in here or there, and then at one point, probably after a couple of years, we tried to grow it a bit bigger.
Because you were there?
Yeah, I think so. Like they had more options then for people to run the sites, and there was a lot of work on. There was heaps going. So we sort of got some labourers in, experienced labourers, but you know, some of them a bit hit and miss.
Yep.
Always like it's not easy to find good people. So I started running sites, and then basically I was just really interested in the business side of it too, because it's just the way my mum worked.
As
It
in
always has worked.
you were brought up in a household where, sorry, did you say your mind worked?
Yeah,
I thought you said
yeah.
your mum worked.
No,
Because of the, I guess, you needed it to be clean, kind of thing. Did it feel too, not disorganized, but like you kind of thinking,
I thought I
can
could
they
do it
do
better.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
And
so
some
you
of that's
left.
ignorant, some of that's probably true. But
I think
you know,
that you need to have, a level of that ignorance to take a jump, though. Because if you didn't know, if you were wrong, you're not going to leave.
yeah.
So, so what you did that till?
So yeah, then I was supervising, and I basically I got a little bit more frustrated progressively with not being able to control certain things that I knew could be improved.
Yep.
Especially like, and that's what happened in the end is like work coming in.
Yep.
And the type of jobs you get.
So you wanted the work to be a certain type of work?
Yeah, it's not a good feeling. We're going to get this out because I didn't allow much for it. Let's get it done. It's like, and our standards are really high.
Yep.
And so inevitably you get to the end of the job not with a very good feeling because it took a day or two longer.
Okay, so it's
You're
either
happy
cost
with the
someone
job,
money or the job has to suffer.
Yeah. So it's just like, what are we doing?
And your ethics or you couldn't let the job suffer, so you just had to go over.
Yeah.
Yep, that makes sense.
And
that probably comes from that person's, I guess, lack of business acumen, and you kind of just throw a price at it, and it's always worked out. Or if it was only that person's labour, then it didn't matter. But now they've got other staff to worry about. So
and because he's been doing it for so long, I don't think he'd really.
Like he's working on
Cross-check.
30-year-old paver rates and 30-year-old square metre rates. Yeah, okay. Or square foot rates.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
you got to a point where it was too much.
And there's always heaps of variables,
with jobs.
with landscaping.
Of course. I talk about it all the time.
Like, boom.
I couldn't do that work. It stresses me out too much.
Yeah.
I love the idea of knowing that I pay a certain amount of money for a product and then I can sell it and that's the margin and that's it. And you just put it all on a ute and it goes.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Do you ever get bored with that though?
Different
Different challenges and different.
My different challenges
things.
come from growth. So and new products. So we obviously will start a new range or I've constantly dove into new markets, sometimes irresponsibly.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to start doing underground rainwater tanks, or I'm going to start doing sump and pump chambers or sewer systems, and it cost me $75,000 in employment development and all that, and then I go, maybe we shouldn't have done that. And then so I always keep myself busy by doing those kind of things.
Yeah.
And I'm probably due for another one.
Yeah.
But I'm going to open another shop.
Yeah.
And it's just taking everything we know and mirroring it. So it's not arty.
Yeah.
But I get to do my art here.
It's still creative.
Yeah. I still have to work out what shop to buy, to like what building to get and where to put the shelves and whatever else. But we also have YouTube channel and an audio, a podcast. And
Yeah.
So I get my art there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. So he's gone. It's right. Someone's gone home sick.
Oh,
It's all right.
dropped his,
You know what it's like.
dropped his drink.
So you left there, and was that an amicable thing, or you
I
just
started subcontracting.
Okay, so they were like, yeah, cool, we'll do that, and then you what? So you were still half theirs, and
So I was already running it. I started subcontracting, so we changed the structure so that I was working on meterage rates and
okay,
hourly rate
Yep.
for labour hire, and I employed the guys.
Yeah.
I had my own truck.
Yeah.
Actually, no, he had his own truck at that point.
Yeah.
It's an old diner.
Yeah.
I was kind of just hanging in there.
like the cross between a ute and a truck.
Yeah, like a 2-tonner.
Yep.
Because I didn't have my truck license.
Yep.
Yet. So had that. So he supplied that, but I supplied everything else, all the tools, trailer, paid the guys,
And that,
everything
and
like that.
yeah, so that worked,
Yeah,
and
and I was still learning from him. I did still learn business,
and he was
from
cool
him.
with that.
and he was willing to teach me.
Yep.
You know, it's just his sort of way. You know, he was pretty passionate about it.
Yep.
You know, he had some pretty strong ups and downs and that kind of thing, but
Well, I guess
everyone
if you
everyone
haven't,
does.
yeah, you're not doing it right.
Yeah. So I was subcontracting, and then eventually getting the wrong kind of jobs and not having enough.
So you didn't
allowance on
want
the
to
job.
So
Frustrated me more
as a
and more
subcontractor,
as a
you were
subby.
kind of forced. Your pricing was
Yeah.
pre-organized. It wasn't. So you're like this
Pretty
job.
much.
We've quoted 20 grand. You can have 16 for it. Go get it.
Wasn't probably should have done that, but it was a bit hard.
Yep.
And it was probably a bit looser than it should have been.
Yep.
But we had a pretty good rapport.
Yep.
So generally it was pretty good, but basically if he lost money on a job, he'd expect me to lose some money,
some too. Yeah.
so that he either broke even or
Or you
didn't
split
lose
the
much.
difference. Yeah.
So even if I nailed the job
Yep.
as efficiently as I could see it happening,
Yep.
if there were unknowns that he didn't keep onto and he never really charged extra to the
Yeah.
customers,
So there's those
no
variations.
variations. People don't mind variations if they can see it's realistic.
I think that comes down to that communication, and it sounds like he didn't communicate. You guys didn't have clear communication around your expectations at the start,
Yeah.
and he obviously had no communication around his expectations with the client. That was
Yes.
like, this is the price, this is what we're expecting.
Yeah.
So if he had communicated well with you and the client, everything would have been cool.
And the quotes are pretty vague.
I'm guessing he
this
was
many meters
fearful of
of
losing
paving,
the job.
Yeah, I think so.
Had this kind of
Because
like,
he didn't want to be doing big weeks, you know, quoting and putting in heaps of effort.
yep, and then losing the job.
Yeah, because he also had so he lives up at Wollonga, like a stud.
Yep.
So he had livestock and things like that. So he kind of had that on the side as well.
Yep.
So that probably took a bit of his time.
Well, that can be two full-time jobs, really.
Mm.
If you're running a farm, no
So
matter
he
what
had
size
so
it
much
is.
time as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So then it just, I guess, organically turned into C. Jordan. As we know it now, Lux. But
Yeah, that's that was the first name.
because it just you just had to create a company name.
Yeah.
You didn't have an idea that you wanted to create this landscape construction company. It was just this organic kind of.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I already had work coming in, so it wasn't like the name wasn't like a marketing choice or yeah.
It just didn't need to happen.
Yeah, it seemed pretty irrelevant.
Yep. So what
You know, I
happened?
thought Siege on this-
Why
this one.
why change it? Obviously, you recently changed to Lux Landscape Construction in the last 12 months.
Yeah, about a year ago, I think. So I think the driving thing behind that was, or one of the things was making everybody feel like they were more of a part of the company.
As in, because it wasn't just your name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
And also disassociating myself from the company.
Yep.
Has a different feeling.
So that people
Because-
don't expect you to be there.
Maybe.
Yep.
That's a good point.
Yep.
I don't know if I thought about that at the time.
Okay.
But,
Knowing, I guess I only know you a little bit, but knowing what I know about you, it makes sense that the first answer would be to make the whole team feel like they're part of the company.
Yeah.
So because otherwise it can be very much like the Chris show, and then they're just all supporting it.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Do you think it was maybe a step towards you stepping back a little bit from the day-to-day operations, or doing the actual labour?
Yeah, I've had to do that as well. For a few different reasons. Well, mainly my body.
Yep.
I wouldn't take it anymore, so I'd step back already a fair bit.
Yep. How many staff do you have?
3.
Yep. So there's you and 3.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing your wife has.
Yep.
An
She
element
has
of
all the book
involvement.
work
Yep.
and, bills paid.
The hard stuff.
Yeah, all that stuff. In between managing the 4 kids.
Wrangling the children.
Yeah.
So, what does a day-to-day operation for you look like? You going out and meeting with clients and communicating with staff and.
Yeah. So basically, I wouldn't say every day is the same. Basically, I prioritise on that day what's the most important thing.
Yep.
But the guys meet at my place. I've got a shed there, so all my gear's there. Everyone meets there in the morning.
Yep.
6:30. So I'll go out 6:30, have a chat to everyone, make sure everyone knows what they're doing. If there's any new information, we can share that. Switch tools if we need to.
Yep.
And then they'll head off. Sometimes I'll head straight off, go to site, get them going, set up site with them.
One site at a time, or?
Mostly one site at a time now.
You try to make sure.
Yeah.
I've heard that's one of the biggest challenges from a lot of the guys we talk to, is they try to do one at a time.
Yeah.
But it's never that simple.
It's not, it's not. Sometimes you have to sacrifice a bit of a day where, like, it might be Friday and you've only got half a day to do on one job, and you could and maybe should go to another job and get a bit done, but you weigh it up. Like,
So
so
you'd
for
rather
me, it's
just
like
drop
if
the half
the boys
day.
have pushed it hard for 4 days,
Yep.
I'd rather say, look, half a day we just finish that job completely,
Yep.
clean slate, next Monday we'll start a new job.
Yep.
Or continue on with another job.
Yep.
I'm not going to get them to pack up from Ranella or something like that.
Yep.
And go all the way to Beaumont to do 3 hours.
Yep.
Because I'm paying them to travel as well.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, so you look at it from.
Even if there is multiple jobs on, I try not to intertwine them too much on the same day.
As an individual day.
Yeah.
Yep. So.
Unless I can send one person off.
Yep.
To complete a mission alone for 3-4 hours.
Yep. And that's
cool. Doesn't
what is it? It's an important mission. Then you do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that? Do you quote when you quote a job? Do you look at it as like it'll take 3 or 5 or 8 days? Like, so you'll go, my 3 guys for 5 days is 15 man days or whatever, and that's it. That's how you quote it.
Generally, yes.
Or square meter rates on some of the.
Yeah. So. Sometimes I'll work out the square meterage rates as a basis, especially if it's a bigger job. And then I'll go through, so I'll work it out like that, and then I'll go back and work it out the other way.
So you'll go, it's going to take them a day to clear it out,
materials.
a day to bring your rubble and bases in, that kind of, and what then to match that against your square meter rate and go, well, that was, or I was right on it.
Yeah.
And then you can prepare.
I usually work each quote out at least twice.
Okay. Using two separate
Maybe
methods.
not every single section of it,
Yep.
but especially the more meaty sections.
Yep. So if it's just fencing and it was subcontracted, then it's boom.
Yeah.
It's dealt with. Okay.
Yeah.
So they leave your house at 6:30. So there's what days you could have days go by where you don't visit sites.
Yeah.
Yep. And you find that I'm assuming you must have a pretty good team if you can confidently not visit sites.
Yeah, my team's really good.
One of the questions I had written down was that obviously that a lot of people that we deal with, if we were to ask them what their biggest issue is in their business, it's that it's hard to find good quality staff.
Yeah.
And then keep them.
For sure.
Do you find that?
Yes.
Is the same. So
not so much keeping them, it's them staying good.
Them staying good.
Like,
as in they become complacent, or
complacent,
expect more for less, and
they get some personal issues going on, and then they just let that consume them, and you just unfortunately watch him sort of half destroy himself. And I generally care quite a bit about the people who work for me, and I always try and help people out. I mean, not everyone needs to be helped or wants to be, but
Yep.
if I can see that someone might need some advice and things like that,
Yep.
always trying to help them out and be understanding of this and that. But at the end of the day, sometimes it just gets too much of a burden on you and everyone else, and they're just dragging someone along. It takes a lot of energy.
I think it's hard to articulate. I understand exactly what you're saying
Yeah.
because I'm the same, and I guess my team are important to me, and I'll carry them over certain, I guess, obstacles. We all carry each other over the next obstacle
Yeah.
to a point.
Yeah.
And then obviously if they're either refusing to try and work with you to improve whatever the situation is or
Yeah.
accept help, then it can become challenging.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to talk about it till later, but obviously I'm aware that you've just recently completed an NLP
Yep.
training thing.
Yeah.
I think that's probably not giving it enough meat.
Yep.
Was that partially driven by your desire to want to help your staff or just people around you? And can you talk about why you chose to get involved in that?
Yeah, so I guess I've just always been interested in the way people's minds work. Probably sometimes been confused at the way my own mind was working.
Yep.
And then that sent me looking for an understanding of stuff like that.
Yep.
Or people around me, the way people are behaving. And then, so I sort of started, I guess, you find stuff on YouTube, you read books and things like that. You start sort of becoming a bit more aware of different ways of thinking.
Yep.
And
Rather than just
different
eating
strategies.
what's pumped through the television.
yeah. And then I ended up, so I had a coach myself, holistic life coach.
So was this after, as C. Jordan, not as
This was
employee?
about 3 years ago.
Okay, so it's inside
Inside, yep,
your own business, yep.
yep. Just
And with,
about the same time as starting it, actually.
okay, and you had all 4 kids at that point?
3.
3 kids, yep. Yeah, so 3 kids, new business.
I just went through a breakup.
What am I doing?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
As in you and your partner broke up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and that was pretty full on.
Yep.
And
And starting a new business.
yep.
And yeah, okay. That's
And I
lot to
had a
take on.
lot of pain
Yep.
too.
Physical
'Cause-
pain.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I ended up late last year, I had a spinal fusion.
No shit.
Finally. So, I had some pretty full on nerve pain.
So that nerve pain attributed to the work that you were doing, or no one knows?
Yeah.
Or, yep. You don't really know? Or,
I sort of put my own physical health on the back burner.
Yep.
To try and carry my
I was gonna
family
say,
and
I
start the
feel like I'm
business
doing the same thing at the
Yeah.
moment in different ways.
yeah.
Okay.
So looking back now, I just didn't take the time to have downtime.
Yep. So
allow
that
my
your body
to
then
rest,
suffered.
and also take a step back and look at the bigger picture and figure out how I could make that happen and how I could adjust my business so that I didn't have to work 70-hour weeks just to get by.
So was it kind of like Groundhog Day? You'd just wake up, do the day, get through it, sleep, get up, get through the day,
Yeah, I guess
without
so.
looking too far forward.
Yeah. And I was competitively kickboxing as well, so I was physically I was fit.
Yep.
I was strong.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought I was good, but and I
As
felt
in,
like
you thought you had your shit covered,
yeah,
but
I
you didn't.
well, I thought I could manage the condition.
Yep.
Um,
Of your lower back,
yeah.
using fitness,
Yes.
as in like doing like strengthening
Staying,
exercises.
yeah,
and
staying
fit.
strong and
Yep.
everything like that. I think the emotional struggles probably had just as much to do with it as well.
As in, your emotions were affecting your nerves.
Yeah,
Yep, I understand.
yeah,
And then because you weren't dealing with your emotional pain and your physical pain, it all just kind of culminated in this spinal,
yeah.
however you want to what was
It's pretty common for people under a lot of stress.
it? Was it diagnosed?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So what do they call it? A spine?
spondylolisthesis.
Okay.
So it's where we got a spine thing here. It's just like-
I've got a lot of wine here. So
yeah. So
have you got a
basically,
spine thing? You've got a
Yeah, it might be a bit hard to show you on that.
Use a bottle.
So you imagine like two vertebrae on top of each other like that.
Yep.
And there's a disc in the middle, cushy disc there.
Yep.
So basically, and there's like a bit of a joining section to the vertebrae at the back where the nerves go through. So at some point it had broken, and like it had fractured, and then it continuously just slipped forward. So from the side, the spine looked like that.
Yeah.
And then
Of two low discs.
yeah,
Like down the bottom here.
So two vertebrae.
Yep.
So and the disc was gone. So it was basically bone on bone like that. Nerve in there just being completely squashed, and it was just almost like refusing and then breaking and then.
Were you on a lot of pain
Refusing.
relief?
Not until.
You just dealt with it.
No, not
No
until. It didn't really seem effective. Like
What, as in
I
the
don't know.
pain, you could handle it, but you're in pain all the time.
it's a tough thing. You think
Yeah.
you can handle it until you can't.
Until you realise you're not,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like running into a wall.
and then you're having mental breakdowns over
Yeah.
pain. And, okay.
And then you don't know whether the pain's causing self-destructive behavior
yeah,
and maybe depression,
yeah.
or whether it's the other way around.
As in the self-destructive behaviours causing the pain.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Or whether the pain's causing this. So I was lost and I was in a lot of pain.
And so that you started looking for,
Help.
I guess, answers,
Yep.
and YouTube, reading books.
Yep.
Okay. And you had a coach at that point?
That's when I found a coach.
Okay, cool.
And then basically within a couple of months, I'd gone from feeling like I was underwater
Yeah.
to pretty much doing cartwheels out the front door.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because you made changes around everything.
Yep. I just cleared a lot of negative emotions.
Yep.
Limiting beliefs and things like that.
And so that happened then, and when we spoke the other day, you mentioned that you'd kind of went away from NLP, or at least being involved in that receiving coaching space, and recently just found this desire to get back involved, or
So I've always been still reading a lot of books, watching podcasts,
Yep.
and things like that.
reading hardcover books or listening to books.
Mostly
then
listening,
reading. Yep. So you like Audible subscriptions.
Audible and stuff. Yeah,
Yep.
because I can be excavating,
Yep.
driving to the dump,
Yep.
whatever.
Yep, I get it. I'm the
I
same.
listen to books all day,
Yep.
every day.
Yep.
Um,
It's funny when you pull up somewhere and you're like waiting 15 minutes to finish the chapter because you don't want to get out of the car.
Yeah, you go a long way home because you want to
Yeah.
listen to that chapter and whatever.
Yeah.
So, and it's just a good constant reminder to me of some really cool ways to think about things. And
Well, you can put poison in your ears by listening to commercial radio,
Yeah.
or you can feed your brain. I think we talked about that with D'Artagnan, hey? Like, even if you're listening to the same thing every day, if you can set the tone for the day in the morning by listening to some positive,
yeah,
rather than I asked them about, have you seen this happening on the news? And I'm glad that he said no,
yeah,
because it
I
means
never
he
watched
hasn't
the
saw
news.
it. Yeah, it's something that I need to change in my household. We always have it on because my wife just turns on the TV and it's on.
yeah,
But then I've got 3 children under 5 all absorbing this bullshit that's happening in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
world, and then you wonder why.
It's-
Whatever happens.
It's the media's view of what's happening in the world.
Well,
And
I think
it's-
it's even beyond that. I think it's like
It's
the
cool to stay in touch.
it's the
and that's all
media's-
good, but
it's what the media knows will sell the most advertising
yeah,
because they'll get the most people watching it.
yeah.
It's so tied together. Like, what's their KPI? It's selling ads.
I watch it now and I just see things like so dramatized, and I'm just like,
I caught something yesterday. There
oh,
was
the music, and like they're just
yeah,
like
like
looking. It's just like this is like
yeah.
yeah.
And we've never been in a better place to be able to self-feed what we watch and
Yeah.
what we listen to. You know, there's
Yeah.
unlimited. I don't know how many billions of hours of content there are on YouTube.
Yeah.
Which is a danger as well, especially with
Yeah.
young children. But you can watch whatever you want
Yeah,
or listen to whatever you want.
yeah,
You know, and it's all at the fingertips. So you stayed across it, but recently completed a training in NLP.
yeah.
And just
And
went, you know what?
timeline therapy.
I want to start helping people, or I want
Yep.
to take it to the next level, even for myself.
It was about both.
Yep.
But mostly about helping other people. So
now you're in a position with your team that you can help them a bit more than you might have before you had completed the training, if they so desired. Or you don't want to cross those two over.
almost not.
Yep.
And like with the NLP and timeline therapy, it's a bit of a, like, there's a few things to it. You can't just, like, the person has to be committed in the right way. And
you can't just go out there and be like, "What's up, man?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm feeling like this." And you're like, "Well, have you tried
come over
reframing?"
here, let's sort this out. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like, most of the time,
I mean, it's going to organically make you more empathetic towards other people.
and a lot of it is really just in your intentions.
Yep.
Setting your intentions when you speak to people, and
Which is not a bad process for anything, even sales, to set your intentions when you go into a meeting or meeting with customers, which I do anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't do it, I guess, emotionally. I do it from a sales standpoint.
Yeah.
So, that's
But it becomes unconscious. It's
You're
an
just doing
unconscious
it.
thing. You just
because you've practiced it so often and you've received pleasure from doing it, so you're going to naturally do it more.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, is there, I guess, a desire for you to spend more time in that space, or you'll always keep running the landscaping business? Or
for me, it was like, it's almost like a weight of knowledge thing where you see a really good way of thinking, and you experience how good you can feel compared to how bad you can feel in the exact same scenario.
Like, you're in the same house,
Same
you're still
physical
married
house,
to the same
same
person,
person
same kids,
around
same
you.
car, same truck, same business.
And you can feel polar opposite.
Yeah.
And that to me is
From
pretty
framing,
crazy.
from the way you frame things, effectively.
The way you frame it, and basically your internal representation of what you're actually seeing.
Yep.
Can change.
So you mentioned you obviously listening to a lot of books. I mean, how many books do you think you've listened to? Do you know? Because you can usually check your stats on Audible.
About 40, 50 books.
What's been
a lot of podcasts.
What's been the book that's changed you the most, or that's impacted you the most that's on Audible? This is, well, I guess, a selfish question for me.
A hard question. I think
what's
the
one
book Out of Your Mind by Alan Watts.
Yep. So I haven't read that.
Is basically a book on philosophy. It's not really about personal development, but that book probably blew my mind the most.
Was it an easy listen, or did you?
Yeah.
You need to be concentrating.
Nah, easy.
Yeah, cool. Because a lot of the stuff I've been listening to.
He's a philosopher, but he's very like
everyday Joe philosopher.
Yeah.
Because I listen to stuff and I'm like, well,
sometimes
I should not have been. Well, I'm driving along and listening to a book, and then I'm thinking about God knows what in like at Water Pro, and I'm like, that sounded like it might have been important. Back it up. So
yeah. Sometimes you keep going back and you keep listening to it and you still don't get it, and you're like, I just need to listen. That's why I'm normally like, I'm just gonna put some music on.
I do that, not as much. Commercial radio blows my mind up. I accidentally get into someone else's car. Well, I don't. I get into their car on purpose, but and then they've got commercial radio, and I'm like, what is this shit?
Yeah.
What speed do you listen to Audible at?
Just normal.
Okay, I listen at 1.25.
Okay.
So I get 25% more efficiency in my audio. I've managed to get
That's good.
When I was at my healthiest, I could listen at 1.4.
Yeah.
So if I was hydrated, no alcohol, quality food, exercise, I could listen at 1.4 and take it in. But the most I can get at the moment is 1.25, and that's a very interesting thing to know.
Yeah.
About how dehydrated your brain is.
Yeah, and it's also about. I think it would also affect your emotions.
Listening to it so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't tend to want to do anything slow, which is probably something that we need to deal with. But so you appear to have a pretty good balance now. Would you say that's true?
Yeah.
Is that something that you've had to actively work on, or now that you're aware of the framing, it just happens? I'm talking balance between work life.
I think once you. So I think the first thing a lot of the time is clearing the stuff that's really weighing you down.
And that's a term that's used a lot in NLP? So clearing?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be exclusively that. I'm just trying to put a connection to it. I'm really interested in it.
So basically removing negative emotions and especially like not removing them, but if something's for you is to you and unnecessarily, like if you get unnecessarily angry about something that you know should be like a 2 out of 10.
Yep. So it's an irrational anger.
Yeah,
Yep.
irrational. There's stuff there,
Yeah.
and you got to once you figure out why that certain thing is setting you off
Yeah.
and what your triggers are, it's not about changing that thing, it's about changing your understanding of
Why?
things
Yeah. Okay.
so that that thing doesn't seem as important anymore.
I'm trying to think of an example
Or-
just so I can get some context. So, I guess if you were getting ridiculously angry at someone not indicating enough time before they pulled in front of your car,
Yeah.
that's an irrational anger.
Yeah,
it doesn't
yeah.
affect your life much unless it was nearly an accident.
Yeah.
There's obviously something there
Yeah.
around, and you don't know what that is, so that you'd have to explore.
Like
that.
it might be that you feel like you've got no time.
Yeah.
And that's-
Okay,
and
so
that-
it's
a
just,
limiting belief.
it's a symptom of the real underlying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that
So
makes sense.
so you can either go up, chunk it up, and put it into a bigger picture type scenario to understand like that's a pretty big chunk is what you call it.
Yeah.
Is you feel like you got no time.
Okay.
It's pretty vague, or it might be more specific. It might be like, I feel like if I get to work late again, I'm gonna get fired,
Yeah. Okay.
or things like that.
Yep.
But
Okay.
in that moment, the emotion's so high,
You just get
all
angry.
that's gone, and you're just angry.
That's pretty crazy thinking about it. Because while you're talking about it, I'm thinking about the things that I get irrationally angry about.
Yep.
And I see him smiling. He's like, "You got heaps of irrational anger." The thing is, I think there's two
Yeah.
sides to it. Some of it, if I drilled down, I'd be like, "That is irrational," and other stuff, I would argue to death
Yeah.
that it is completely rational that I'm angry about that because that dude's a fuckhead or whatever. That's
Yeah.
so. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, so like clearing that stuff first. Let's call it clearing. Just
Yep.
basically changing the way that you're thinking about it and freeing up some energy that way.
Because you're not concentrating on negative energy.
Yeah, and it's not overwhelming you anymore.
Yep.
So
And what that just frees you up to concentrate on the future and growth and
Yeah.
happiness and better things.
so once you're not in survival mode anymore,
Yep.
you can start to really focus on where you want to go.
I found that with here, excuse me, for probably the first 8 years of the 10 years that we've been trading, we were in survival mode.
Yeah.
Because we were growing so rapidly.
Yep.
Everyone had their hand out. We weren't making
Constantly
enough
bump
money.
up against stuff.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
phone calls about money, money, money. As
Yeah.
soon as we got above that, I guess, water and started breathing,
Mhm.
it's ridiculous the amount of when you've got money in the bank and you're like, you know what, we could
The
choose
freedom.
to do
Yeah.
this or not, or we could take a risk and do this,
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah.
And it's almost dangerous for me because I've said before I'm a wartime general, so I like operating with a knife against my throat, like you
Yeah.
need to run.
Yeah.
But I haven't had that recently, so I have to then create artificial
Yeah.
circumstances where
Yeah.
I'm putting myself at risk or perceived risk
For
by
sure.
hiding money from myself or going into competition in other markets just to keep myself
Yeah.
energized. So
No, that makes sense.
yeah. So inside the I guess in the luck side of things,
Mm-hmm.
I guess I want to ask some practical questions. Obviously,
Yeah.
the majority of our the audience are landscapers,
Yep.
and there's gonna be a lot of guys that are the same size as you as far as staff and turnover and that kind of thing. So I
Yep.
think it's always good to bring some value to them by saying, this is how I do this. This is how I do this. Do you use I guess a quoting package or an accounting package for how you process?
Zero.
So you use Xero. So you type your quotes in Xero, invoices in Xero. Has that been the case since you started?
Since I started my company, yeah.
Yep. And you love it.
I was using MyOb before that, and that was the old school MyOb.
As in the one that you just pay $300 for the disc and you
Mm.
you put your floppy disk in, and
And you're gonna reconcile your accounts, like you go.
rather than
That was
actually
painstaking.
automatic reconciliation. I haven't used Xero. Our software's similar to Xero. It's
Okay.
I guess you can have bank auto reconciliations and that kind of thing. It's just a lot bigger than Xero. It's open source and customizable. But
Yep.
I think if I was operating any other business other than a very deep inventory business,
Mm.
I'd have Xero. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
Your accountant can log in and whatever else.
Yeah.
Do you have a design arm, or do you work with designers, or like if someone wants their backyard done and they have no idea, how does that look? You just go out there and
It depends on the client. Most of the time, I will say to them, I recommend getting a design done, especially if it's a full front or backyard.
So you don't try and be that person.
No.
You just, aces in their places. I can build it.
Yeah. So I normally refer that to Sphere Garden Design.
Yep. You got a good relationship with them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they refer work to me.
Symbiotic works.
A little bit with Tim Harper as well.
Yep. When Tim's not busy doing 4,000 other businesses.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know if I'd love to sit in like a I don't know if an NLP session would be the right thing, or a psychological evaluation of Tim. I'd love to really open up his brain.
Yeah.
You know, like not even if we could just attach stuff to it and see what's going on in there, and get some kind of visual representation other than his life.
Yep.
Of what's going on in there.
Yeah.
Because I swear there's just neurons just firing everywhere.
Yeah.
The podcast we did with him it's the longest we've ever done. I had to have a break. It just went everywhere. And then recently we had, I was in Denmark doing an Instagram live, and he just jumped on, and I'm just driving on a tour bus through Denmark, and Tim's just commentating.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so
yeah, no, he's a cool dude.
It's, I think it's good to have characters like that. Our market doesn't have a shortage of them either.
Yeah.
So do you buy or hire, like if you needed a dingo or an excavator, like do you have your own machines?
I got a 1.8 ton cat excavator.
Yep.
With all like the attachments.
And it just got to the point where it made sense that you needed one.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had a Bobcat, full size Bobcat, and I had another truck, a bit of a bigger truck.
Yep.
But there wasn't enough use for it.
Yeah. I was gonna say with 3 guys, it doesn't sound like.
Oh, I had 6 then.
Okay. And so did you drop your staff numbers around the same time that you cleared and decided to start doing cartwheels in the front yard? Was that, or did that kind of happen?
No, I bought my second truck then.
Yep. So you wanted to have 2 trucks. Oh, so you were like, let's get bigger.
Yeah. So there's a little bit to it. Like I had an accident I had a larger truck first, so not big truck. It's a 3.5 tonner.
Yep.
Canter, like 2013 model or whatever.
Yep.
I bought that new because I was gonna kill myself in that diner that I was driving.
As in the brakes or the something
brakes
was going to go. Yeah,
right, it was a joke.
Yep.
I come down to a T section, no stopping, so I just have to keep going and turn. I'm like, nah, this is.
I shouldn't laugh.
I'm like, this is enough. Like I've got enough stress going on.
Yeah.
So that's when I financed my first truck. That was a brand new Fuso 715 Canter 3.5 tonner.
Yep.
And then had that for a couple of years. Then I bought a Bobcat, full size Bobcat, because I had about 400 ton worth of moss rock to put in on a couple of jobs. Okay. So I was like, this is a good time to buy a machine.
Yep, makes sense.
Because I need about a month's worth of work.
So okay, I know. Yeah.
So 3,
Yep.
Say it's 20, 25 days, $300 a day for a machine.
Or
you're paying $7,500 or
that's it. It's a good,
or whatever.
Good chip off the loan. Yep.
So I got a second-hand Bobcat, but it was really good condition.
Yep.
And I used it for those jobs. It was awesome. Used it for a heap of other jobs.
And you were driving.
Yep.
And you were riding a Bobcat with your back.
Yep.
Yep.
So better than being on a shovel a lot of the time.
Yep.
These days I don't really go on a Bobcat.
Yep.
Just because the bigger machines are pretty good. That one was pretty good. I had ride control and everything. But a lot of the time now we're just hiring smaller machines. And it's like... And
your back's just going bang,
like this.
Bang,
yeah. So I still do it sometimes just because I like operating machines and I've done a lot of it.
It's the boy in you just
play
in the dirt.
And I know I can do it quicker. And
or if it's a specialist cut or whatever.
Yeah.
So you don't have that Bobcat anymore?
No, so I sold the Bobcat because I had heaps more jobs I needed excavators for coming up.
Yeah, okay.
And even in between, I had other jobs where I had to keep hiring 1.8 ton excavators. And I was like, look, probably a better machine for me to have.
Yep.
So I sold the Bobcat, bought the excavator with all the attachments.
Yep.
And then I've had that for a couple of years. Bought that new as well.
And then just hire as you need with kind of less...
Yeah.
Kind of those random things that you just...
Yeah.
No point owning.
I sold the bigger truck when I downsized a little bit, and now I've just got still a Canter but it's a 3-tonner.
Yep.
And it's a narrower and shorter, and it's a bit smaller.
Yep.
You can pretty much put 5-ton in the 3.5-tonner, but you can only put like 3.5 in the 3-tonner.
Yep.
But you can have it on a car license.
Okay.
But we have it on a truck license still.
Yep.
But so it's just that and the excavator, a couple of trailers, and a single cab ute.
And operate all out of home.
Yep.
Is that challenging? Or you prefer that because it means you can meet your guys and still be home?
Well, I've got enough room, and it just works and keeps the overhead low because, yeah.
Well, a whole nother warehouse. I mean, I know very much how much warehouses are now because we're looking, especially over your way.
Yeah.
300 square meters is going to cost you 12 grand, 15 grand a year.
Yeah.
If you can, and you need that as a minimum with all the stuff you've described.
Yeah.
And then it adds complexities if you've got staff with access to warehouses, and it depends on how much you have risk with that, which you sound like you don't.
Yeah.
But then if you're leaving home at 6:30 and your kids are all still asleep inside or whatever, it doesn't work. So it sounds like it works. So do you think you'll keep it?
And if I'm not going out to site, but I want to talk to him in the morning, that means I have to leave home at 6, go down there, meet there, talk to him, come home. It's taken me 2 hours to have a 20-minute
because other stuff
conversation.
happens, and then I know, and the client wants to talk to you for 40 minutes, and So do you think you'll keep the business at the size it's at now? Does it feel like it's just
at the moment? Yeah, it's really good.
Yep. You're enjoying it.
The guys are doing an awesome job.
Yep.
And I mostly do the machine work.
Yep.
Earthworks, so I still do that.
So this enables you to live a bit more of a flexible life.
Yeah, and that's what I like about running it from home is it just feels like you have a lot of freedom.
Yep.
Commercial leases is 5 years.
Yeah.
You're locking into that.
Yeah, that's if you sign. Tell them to get stuff signed.
Not that I have a plan to shut down or anything.
No. I know what you mean, though.
But it just feels.
It was daunting for me to sign up this building. We signed a 2-year lease here.
Yep.
And at the time, I was like, far out. We'd already traded, but when we signed our first building, I was like, we have to pay 55 grand a year to these guys for 2 years minimum.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, we're still on the hook for 110.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean. But then it got to the point where I'm like, this building here, I'm like, I'd like to sign a 20-year lease, please. Because I don't want to lose this building.
You've established it, and
and people know the location. I mean, you look out the car park now, it's full, and then what if we weren't able to be here in 2 years? So it's interesting, I guess.
So that's one of the things, and I think that's one of the things that people don't spend enough time on is figuring out why they're doing what they're doing.
Well, that's what I was about to say.
It's not like, that company's, look, that's really cool. They started up, they've got their own shed. That's an awesome setup.
Yeah,
I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And then they just go and do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, now they have to make an extra 20 grand a year.
Yeah.
Which is 20 grand straight out your profit.
Yep.
If you're already operating fine without it.
That's right.
It's not like a retail outlet
where we have to have
it's going to produce you more money.
Yeah,
it's
I know
really
what you're
just a convenience thing.
Yeah.
So if you're making 60 grand a year comfortably, and then you get a 20 grand a year shed, you're only making 40 grand a year.
Or you need to double or triple your
Or you need to
turnover.
somehow get more efficiency out of the guys, so you end up putting more pressure on your workers, or something.
Or hire
something
more
else
workers.
has got to change.
Yeah, you just grow. I mean, I remember our rent being a percentage of our total turnover when it was like, I mean, our first year we turned over like, I don't know, 400 grand or something.
Yeah.
So when you're paying 55 out of 400, it's a lot. But when you get to 4 or 5 million, $55,000 is just so negligible.
Yeah,
it's just
definitely.
So but I get what you're saying. We need
that's exactly the point. In that scenario, it's 100%.
You have to do it. Whereas you're talking about why would you get a building just to be the same as Joe blogs on, like, well, he's got one, I need one too. Where you don't think people are having that conversation with themselves. They're just doing it because it makes sense, because everyone else is doing it.
Yeah. I think with our business, it takes a long time to get unconsciously competent in what you're doing.
Yep.
And so to get the guys all on the same page, very reliably producing the results that you want, takes a fair bit of effort. And you need, to me, it's very hard to develop that without being there quite a bit at the start.
Yep.
To show them physically and walk them through things.
Yep.
To get it done. And it's not just about doing the methods the same way. It's about them understanding your thought processes.
Yep.
And how you assess situations. It's not just about what your standards are for thickness of rubble or whatever.
Yeah,
because that stuff's
that's
like,
easy. Yeah, you're talking
you
about
can just write down on a page. That's fine.
the emotional intelligence of the company.
To me, that's not the real important bit about your business. So
No, I get that. As you're talking, I'm thinking about my team and the guys that I know that have been here for a while. A new staff member will do something, and the ones that know me will just be like, "Oh no," because they know that they know me so well. They're like, "He's not going to be a fan of this.
yeah,
We need to make this go away before he finds out."
yeah.
I'm not too bad like that though. You mentioned you had a mentor at some point or a coach. Is that something that you still have, or do you find mentorship inside other parts of your world?
Probably find mentorship on podcasts and things like that.
Yeah. What are you listening to podcast wise at the moment?
Listen to the Aubrey Marcus podcast.
I like him. I've read Own Your Day, Own Your Life. What is it? His book?
Own the Day.
Yeah. And I've watched some of his stuff. He's a tripper, man.
Yeah.
Basically,
Good.
get up, have a glass of water, have some sex, get your day started. I'm like, sounds like makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So obviously, there's a lot more to it than that.
No, yeah, that's pretty cool.
There's lemon juice and salt as well.
Yeah. Apple cider vinegar.
What's avocados? What's that?
Apple cider vinegar.
Yeah, there you go. Just make sure you get the sex in as well.
Yeah.
So he's got a podcast as well, like a regular podcast.
AMP. It's called AMP. Yeah. Or I guess that's Aubrey Marcus podcast.
So how often is he putting a podcast out?
Probably every week or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
His voice is ridiculous. I could listen to him all like.
He's just like got metaphors coming out his ass.
Yeah.
Like, it's just sometimes it's too much. You're like, I can just take it easy.
Or you're just like,
on the metaphors.
that's not even a real metaphor. You're just using.
What are you even saying?
You're
like?
just making stuff up.
Yeah.
So is there?
I just like his way of thinking, and
You know what?
resonate.
And this is why the NLP thing appeals to me so much. I agree with most of the things he says. I'm just unwilling to do them.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, couldn't we just get drunk instead?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting. I haven't had a podcast. I haven't had another. Like, I listen to a lot of Gary Vee, and I'm kind of at the end of that. And I've said that
I've listened to a lot of that as well.
Obviously, you've heard me say it before, but even now, like, I had a lot of free time yesterday.
Yep.
I was home with the kids, so I was watching on YouTube a thing called London Real, which he interviews a lot of guys.
I've seen a bit of that as well.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that, and I was like, oh, this is good. This is something new for me. But he was interviewing Rich Roll, the vegan ultra athlete.
Yeah.
And Rich Roll started talking about like his life and the shit he'd gone through. I'm like, oh god, this is me. Not drinking as bad as him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of
There's
sense.
cool insight.
It's nice to hear someone else that goes, I was doing this, I was having troubles with this, and I'm like, oh, good, parallel.
Yep.
Oh, and now you're not.
Or you hear, stories of people that are so much, like, I was listening to one yesterday, David Goggins, is it?
Yep.
And, what he went through, and because I've just had my back surgery, and, you get times where you sort of start feeling sorry for yourself.
And
like,
I'm the only one that's going through this. No one else knows how.
Yeah, or like, you just self-talk, complaining to yourself.
Yeah.
Just, the other day, I was like, I had to get somewhere. I was running late, and so I started running to get there. It was to my course, actually. I had to run across this park, and then I stopped, and I was like, oh, I can't run. I was like, I just ran, like, but you're telling yourself you can't
because
run.
of your back.
Yeah, but I think because of all the times where it was like a 20 out of 10 pain.
Yeah.
Now, when it hurts a little bit, I think it's worse than it is.
Yeah.
And so, and yeah, I was listening to that David Goggins. Is that his name?
Yeah, that's his
definitely
name. I don't know how it's spelled. I haven't watched any of his stuff, but I've heard
Yeah,
him mentioned
okay.
in the London Reel.
And he's talking about he run this. He was basically fit, but not real cardio fit.
Mhm.
And he decided to just commit to this 100k, 100-mile marathon, 24 hours. He did 70 miles, and his feet were like, fractured stuff. It fractured his shins,
Yeah.
like his shin splints. Like he was pissing blood down his leg. He'd shat himself. He was sitting in a seat. He was like, no, like, he's like, okay, I just need to go to that over there and get a drink or something. Couldn't even stand
Yeah.
up. Like he was basically finished.
Yeah,
And he'd done 70 miles. He had 30 to go.
which is on a race on its own 30s ridiculous.
Yeah. And then basically he just got duct tape, wrapped it up tight around all his joints and stuff in his legs, and just he saw out the 30 miles and did it. He walked the first couple, and then someone said to him, I think it was his wife, said to him, you're not going to make this time. You're not going to get it done. It's just too slow. You took 30 minutes to do 1 mile.
Yeah.
And then he just did it.
Oof.
And it was like,
I'm just imagining like the tape coming off and your feet coming off with the tape. And
because he'd been through like Navy SEAL training.
okay,
or
so he'd
whatever.
been through some heavy shit.
So, and he went through the initial induction training, which is I think Hell Week,
Yep.
which is 5 days or whatever
Yep.
of excruciating
Ring that
shit.
bell.
And he'd been through that already, so he knew what his mental strength was. But
Yeah.
he said even that was like another level.
He thought I would be worried about my body not having legs after it. Like, sorry mate, you just did too much damage. You've taken your foot.
Yeah,
Like, but they're
But-
the mental places I'll
but
go.
they do. You've got these blocks in place, and they're because I don't know different things.
I think
but
some of those blocks are in place to keep you from dying.
safe.
Yeah. Like, and
But the truth is, we don't have a lot of actual life-threatening things anymore.
no, comparatively to the
But
polio
our
days,
biology hasn't really caught up.
our mental
I don't
biology,
think. Yeah.
as in, or our neurology.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's why sometimes the choice, like somebody buys their parents buying the wrong laptop, and they feel like they're gonna die.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
because your body, the connections are still the same.
as in
Still real threats, life-threatening.
because everyone else has got an Apple, and if I don't have one, then
yeah, well,
it feels like I'm dying.
yeah.
Yep.
And it's just as real. The emotion is just as real as the fact that you might actually be gonna
Yeah.
be killed
And is that something that you cover off?
to that person, and that's
Well, that's their real.
because that's your perception of, and that's your emotion.
And I think a lot of times we get caught up thinking about, or saying that it's not fair for you to have that, for you to be upset about that because there's other people that have worse things
Yeah.
happening. But in the
That's
reality is, it's your reality at the time.
It's completely fair.
I was talking to someone recently who's the child's being diagnosed with cancer, and she was saying, she'll have people come and visit her, and they'll start complaining that they didn't get much sleep last night because their baby's not sleeping, and then they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't be complaining, like,
Yeah,
you've got this. And then this person I was talking to, she's like, well, that's your reality, like, if that's what you're dealing with, I'm happy to listen, like,
yeah.
just because I've got a
It
worse...
doesn't negate the other.
No, that's right. So
Yeah. For sure.
I think that's
And I think that's what we're told, and that's why we bury that stuff.
Yeah.
a lot
because
of the
it's
time.
not a big enough problem for you to complain about because
Yeah.
there's more stuff in the world.
Yeah, because that's what someone told you.
Yeah, but then that becomes a bigger problem, doesn't it?
But somebody can be in a really bad circumstance but still feel fine,
Yeah.
and somebody can be in a really good circumstance and feel like there's no reason to live.
Well, I'm seeing that with this person that I'm describing. Like, they've
Yeah.
been handed a fucked card, like the worst
Yep.
card. And after an initial day of processing, they're like, okay, now we just have to win.
Yep,
And they're in a headspace that I
it's inspiring.
would have to actively work towards getting into.
Yeah,
And they're like, well, what do we do? Like, this is what we do. So, is there, I guess, just to move completely away from how deep that was, is there a favourite style of garden that you like doing?
I like gardens with a lot of life in them. Like
Plants?
natural stone plants.
Okay. So life doesn't just have to be a plant.
Yeah. Yeah. Mostly, I guess I do mean plants.
Yep.
Like plenty of garden.
Yep.
I don't like it overly structured. Natural stone, natural elements.
Yep. So you don't want it to be too sterile.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't mind concrete. Too much concrete, I don't really like so
So
much.
used appropriately.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I don't know if I covered
So-
this.
I like. It's changed over the years.
As you've
to what I
matured?
like.
you
Yeah, I
think?
think so. I think you start off sort of liking what you think you should like, and also when you're building gardens, when you start off building gardens, not designing them, you have a lot narrower scope of what you can do, because you're just thinking about the construction of it. So it's more common that you're going to think square, straight, simple, this and that.
So you don't have to cut the rounds. And I remember one of our other clients did a landscape architecture at uni, and he was saying that they encourage them to hand draw their designs
Yeah.
first, because otherwise they're more likely to change their design to suit their skill set in the
Yes.
software.
That's 100% it. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the same.
Okay.
And as I've gotten older, and I guess more experienced, I just like, there's no specific thing I like really. It's the vibe of balance.
Yep.
And I just kind of see it in my mind.
Yep.
And, there's just very subtle things that can change gardens big time. And
We were in Melbourne last week and saw a lot of the show gardens, and the ones that I liked, I couldn't explain why.
100%.
It just all of it joined together,
yeah.
and you're like, I really like that.
And Sphere are really good working with.
Yep.
They do a lot of planting in most of their jobs.
That's a
And
partnership.
yep, Kylie and Jenny.
Yep.
Yep.
So I think they've been around. How long ago? Their
around
business
a
would be
while.
older than yours, I think.
Older than my Lux. Yeah, I
Yeah.
reckon maybe 10 years.
Because I remember
Sure.
it was a while ago when we first. Well, no, how old's my son? So Jack's 6. It would have been at least 8 or 9 years ago. They were in a display. They had their first offices over on Glen Osmond Road.
Yep.
And after they left, I reckon my son had when he was born, we had his naming day at that place. So that I'm just trying to tie the timelines together. So it's interesting to have a 2-person, I guess, a partnership. I'm not a massive advocate for partnerships, but
Yeah.
they obviously seem to be making it work.
Yeah, they got on well, and they seem to have a good vibe together, good synergy.
I think my my opinion of partnerships is probably a bit tainted. So
Yeah, I think mine's been the same.
so I shouldn't talk about it, because there's probably all these people that have got beautiful stories about partnerships.
Yeah.
And how
Sometimes they're really useful. You can spread the load, and
one of our suppliers, they came and met with me the other day, and he's in charge of sales and marketing, and the other partner's the managing director of the entire company. They're a big company.
yeah,
And I was like, why is that? And he's like, because he's like a savant with numbers.
Yep.
And I'm not.
Yep.
And then I know this guy, and I'm like, and you just have this rapport with clients that no one
Yeah.
else understands. It's like, yeah, I'm like, well, perfect partnership.
I think partnership will work if you've got complete transparency and communicate well with each
Yeah.
other.
I also think partnerships work really well if you're making lots of money.
Yeah, that's
I
a
think
good one too.
It's if you're stressed about money,
Well, yeah,
it works. It's got less shit to do with. When we were in a partnership, we weren't making much money,
Mhm.
so everyone's looking
Oh,
over
yeah.
the fence, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm fucking working my ass off. What are you doing?" And then
Do you think it was just about the money though, or
we had a massive difference in
The-
value structure.
yeah,
It was the values that did it.
yeah,
I didn't really know. Two things. I didn't really
and
care
the
about the
stresses
money.
of starting off a business.
Yeah. Well,
or
and
test out.
I've said it a few times before, probably not in such a public forum, but I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him.
Yeah,
So I can't be too critical of the partnership,
Mm-hmm.
because he was the one that was really advocating for me to leave my job.
yeah,
He's like, we could start this thing. You know a lot about it. Like, he was
Yeah.
kind of like I guess I don't want to use the word muse, but like, it was just like, you can
Yeah.
do this, you can do this, you can do this. And I was like, I don't know. I don't really want to open up, because this was opened and competes with my former employer.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, no, you'll be good. And I'm like, I don't understand business. And he's like, that's all right, I do. I'm like, I don't understand money. He's like, that's all right, I do.
Yeah.
In the end, he didn't. But it got us
fun.
It got us running the race, and then we kind of, in line with my ready, fire, aim, which is one of the values, we kind of ping-ponged and got it on the right track along the way. So
yeah, that's cool.
do you have a quote or mantra that you kind of continuously go back to or live by at all?
Not really.
Nothing?
I think I'm always changing a lot.
Yeah.
Nothing specific.
Not like
something I heard the other
Aubrey
day
Marcus.
that I really like was that your energy equals your changeability.
Yep.
And I thought that was really cool, and that's a cool thing to remember. Because if you're running out of energy, physically or emotionally, whatever, it's going to be really hard for you to make changes.
Because it's easy just to continue with the status quo. You just...
Yeah. And then you just keep Groundhog Day in it.
It makes so much sense, especially to me at the moment. I feel like I've got less energy than I've had for a long time.
Yeah.
So you kind of just keep doing the same shit.
Yeah. So everything feels harder.
Yeah.
And you always need to change to adapt every day and to progress. So if you don't have energy, it's going to be there's a lot of resistance there for you.
Yeah. Energy management is something that I've thought about a lot lately. As you get older, your body obviously struggles to process late nights and alcohol and bad food and lack of exercise, and even, I guess, if you want to go deeper into the kind of spirituality of meditation and religion or whatever makes your energy levels good. So I have to be more conscious of my energy management now. Yeah. I can't just, you know what I mean?
And it's the places where you think your energy's getting locked up, it's quite likely that that's not it at all.
Yeah. As in, I think it's food.
Yeah, you think it's food and rest.
Yep.
But it might be
like stress related
some
to this.
sort of emotion or belief that is very underlying. But once you get to it, you sort of, it's like a light bulb. Yep. And then you go, whoa. Yep. And then you take a breath and you go, holy shit.
I need to make sure I protect that.
Or you know how to deal with it. Identifying it, having awareness of what's going on. Yep. The more clarity, the better. So
I think that's all my questions. Do you have anything that you got that, I guess, Lux or you personally are working on at the moment that you want to talk about? With the NLP, even is that something that you're actively
so I'm
working
taking on clients for NLP and coaching.
So that, I guess, even for me, I'm quite across a lot of stuff in that world, NLP would be suitable for people that are looking to make a change in their life and they're not sure how to go about it.
Yeah.
Is that a good way to put it? Or
yes.
People that maybe aren't completely sure where they're...
People who don't know what they're doing anymore.
Yep.
People who are confused. People who know what they're doing, but it's not what they want to be doing and they don't know why. It's
something that's... I guess I can only speak from a male standpoint, but I feel like it's something that men go through at multiple different times. I think when I turned 30, which is... You're 30 now?
Yeah.
You kind of like, fuck, am I anywhere near where I'm meant to be right now? And then I think after you have kids, or you got this kind of clock ticking and you kind of like, is this where I'm meant to be now? Like my oldest is about to turn 6 and I'm like, what have I actually done in 6 years that, so you start questioning stuff. So it's becoming more and more recognized as an accepted, or, I mean, obviously whenever new things come out, they get this amount of doubt from the general population, like it's voodoo or it's whatever. I guess NLP is not in that perceived space anymore. Do you feel?
I think people are definitely more open to, I guess, like alternative therapies and things like that these days. So yeah, a lot of people wouldn't have heard of it.
Yep.
Well,
Well,
But
I've
it's-
probably known about it for 4 or 5 years and
Yeah.
just haven't really sought to dive into it at all.
Yeah.
But I guess for people, when there's enough pain occurring in their life,
You start looking.
you start looking for stuff and you're like, okay, well,
Yeah.
maybe I could do... if they want to change.
Exactly.
Some
they don't
people,
wanna change,
some
well-
people love the pain.
Go on with it.
That's
I
it.
mean, when you get fed up or whatever, or if you just want to be doing what you're doing better, and you know you can do it better, but you're not doing it, it's like the information that you have available isn't always what's important. It's about the way that you're thinking about things and the way that you're processing things.
Yep.
And it's like with running businesses, to me, if you don't sort yourself out, your business isn't going to have a real strong direction.
No.
Because unless you know what you value, you can't build it based on that. And then then it might not just feel right because it's not aligning with your values. So once you're clear on what your values are, you can start to make every decision you make in business or in life based on what your values are. And then you end up with a lot less doubt in the end and a lot less regret because you knew why you did it.
Yeah. And if it didn't work out necessarily...
And if it didn't work out, I was
you
like,
can't
fine,
regret it.
but my intention was right because
Yeah.
I knew this is what I was doing.
I don't think there's enough of that happening. It's funny, and you probably would... You might even have statistics on it, but like people spend more time... Definitely would spend more time on Facebook or on Instagram than they would planning their life.
Yep.
You know?
Most people spend no time planning their life
Yeah.
whatsoever. And especially like, you know, you got a business and you think, oh, I've got to sit down and work this out. So you work out your business stuff, but you don't actually work out yourself.
Yeah. Well, we do a lot of that. I do budgets, KPIs, you know... I guess we even talk about we want to make sure we get a podcast a week or whatever.
Yeah.
But at no point and I guess I go to the gym, but at no point has it been like, I don't know what KPIs you'd have as a human, you know?
Yeah.
Like happiness is an ultimate KPI, but how do you measure that?
Yeah.
When it's a feeling.
Yeah.
You know? And for someone like
so
me.
you just figure out what that looks like to you.
Yeah.
If you think about it long enough, you can create an image of you being happy.
Yep.
And then you can figure out, you know, where you're at in that image and what has to happen to create
just work backwards.
create that a reality for you.
Yeah, okay. It's funny. I'm analysing it like I need to be happy at about 94%. Like that's my numbers brain. Because
So
I'm
you've got a
like,
94%.
you know what I mean? Like, well, if my body weight's, I can measure my body weight. I can measure my heart rate. I can measure my hydration. I can measure my lungs capacity.
Yeah.
I want to measure my happiness.
Yeah.
As a number, you know, but you can't.
No, you can't.
So it's hard for, I guess, people that.
But you'll be able to create a
of course,
create a picture of it.
Yeah, but it has to be the genuine happiness because my automatic thought was just like, I'd probably just be like in a bar drinking beer and eating pizza. I feel pretty happy at that time, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's that next level of happiness that we're talking about. That kind of. How do you know what is the difference between happiness and pleasure?
Yeah.
Because one's pleasure and the other one's probably happiness.
Yeah.
So we'd love to see that. Anyway,
Yeah, for sure.
so if people want to get in touch with you, you've got a separate Facebook page for the. Is it on your arm?
No.
That's different.
It's Envision.
Yep.
Personal development and
So we
coaching.
can link that up underneath
Yeah.
the podcast if anyone
Yeah.
wants to talk to you about that.
That'd be on Instagram and Facebook.
Yep. So while you're there trolling Instagram, wondering what's going on with your life, and
Yeah. 3 a.m.
hit Chris up.
drinking scotch and questioning.
If you're
everything.
drinking scotch properly, you're not still awake at 3 a.m. Trust me. So thank you so much
Yeah.
for coming in, man.
No worries.
I really appreciate it.